So you sold an iron condor, the market rallied, and now you're sitting on a losing short call spread with delta creeping up against you. So what do you do? So today I'm going to show you delta hedging in action, and not just the theory. I'll show you the actual mechanics and how you can start to neutralize or minimize your directional risk when a trade starts moving against you. So let's get started. Before we do, just a quick reminder that everything discussed is for educational purposes only and is general in nature. So what is delta hedging? Well, delta hedging is the process of offsetting the directional exposure in your options position. When you're delta neutral or close to it, small market moves don't significantly impact your P&L. Here's the basic concept. If your position has positive delta, you'd add some negative delta to help offset that directional risk. And if you're picking up a lot of negative delta, you would add some positive delta to offset that risk. You can hedge with the underlying stock or ETF, an opposite option position. So if you've got a positive delta option position, you could add a negative delta option position, or you could add other correlated instruments to hedge your position. The goal isn't perfection. It's about risk management and reducing your exposure to that stock if it continues moving in that same direction while you wait and decide how you're going to manage the underlying position, whether that's adjusting it or closing it. So it's buying yourself time and minimizing your risk to a continued directional move. Iron condors, for example, are built around the idea of staying delta neutral. But markets move, and when they do, your position picks up positive or negative delta. That means you're no longer delta neutral, and you've got directional exposure that you may or may not want. We can also think about our delta on a portfolio level, not just on those single iron condor trades. And if we've got a lot of, say, wheel trades or bull put spreads that are all positive delta, we might want to add some negative delta trades to offset all that positive delta. So let's say you've picked up a lot of positive delta on your iron condor trade, for example. You could close the entire position and take the loss. You could adjust the untested side. You could roll the tested side. There's lots of different adjustment strategies you could use, or you could delta hedge to neutralize the directional risk. Delta hedging buys you time. It stops the bleeding from a continued directional movement. And it's also helpful when closing the entire position would be too expensive, or you don't have any options for rolling the position because it's going to get too expensive. Before you can hedge, you need to know your actual delta exposure. Let's walk through some examples. Most platforms will show this automatically, such as Interactive Brokers. They have a great tool called Risk Navigator, and I'll drop the link for some videos in the description below. But if you don't have Interactive Brokers or another broker that doesn't have your delta, I'll show you how to do it. So here we're looking at a sample iron condor on Netflix, and let's say the stock's rallied up and we're starting to get a little bit closer to our short call strike, and our short puts are well and truly out of the money. Now, at this point in time, we've only got 17 days to expiration, and once we get down into those last 2 or 3 weeks, it does become a little bit harder to adjust. And that's where delta hedging might be a good option. For example, we can see here that the puts are only at a delta 5, but we don't necessarily want to roll those in closer. We don't want to roll the untested side because we're going to roll them in closer. And if Netflix reverses, we're going to come under pressure on the downside really, really quickly. So we don't really want to do that. We also don't necessarily want to roll the calls out because, again, getting close to expiration, there's not going to be a lot of premium if we roll those out further. Now, Interactive Brokers is giving us some really helpful information here. We've got 3 delta columns. We've got delta dollars, which I'll get to in a minute. We've got the delta of the strike, and we've got the position delta. You can see the position delta is basically the position times the strike delta times 100. So we've got delta -3, +5, -24, and +10. Overall, our delta is -12. If we change our positions, this number is not going to change, but the position delta will. We can see now everything's doubled. Now we've got an overall -24. Our risk is still the same in terms of our deltas here, but our position delta has changed. The easiest way to delta hedge is by simply buying the shares. It's simple, it's clean, but it is a little bit expensive because we might have to buy a number of shares that's going to cost us some money. Let's take a look. So going back to our original example, we've got a -12 delta. If we wanted to fully hedge that delta, we could buy some shares of Netflix stock, and to fully hedge our delta, we would buy 12 shares. And now our overall position is 0 delta, completely delta neutral. We can see our T+0 lines flattened off nicely, but the shape of our expiration graph now looks a little funny. We've got actually risk on the downside now, and if we zoom out, we've actually added a lot of capital because 12 times $109, it's about 1,300 that we've had to put into the trade. So that might not be feasible for a lot of people. We go back to our original position. Another scenario might be that you don't want to fully delta hedge. Maybe you only want to 50% delta hedge, in which case we would just buy 6 shares. And that looks a little better. We've minimized our delta. We've cut it in half. We've improved our T+0 line a little bit, and we're not giving too much away on the downside. The second method we're going to look at, rather than buying the stock, we're going to use options to hedge the underlying position. So now, instead of using the stock, we're going to come in here and we're going to find a 12 delta call option. We're going to use the same expiration date, and we haven't got a 12 delta. We could either add an extra one at that 120 strike, or we could use a 14 delta, which would be a bit of an overhedge. So I'm actually just going to look at this 10 delta one because we haven't got a perfect 12 delta there. So if we buy an extra contract here, it's going to cost us about $34. And you can see how the position graph has changed. We've almost completely eliminated our delta. We're down to -2 on our delta. We've completely flattened our T+0 line, and we haven't got that big drop off on the downside. So a lot of times this is a better way to delta hedge than buying the underlying stock. It's just a little bit more complicated because what's happened now, we're also impacting our delta, but we're also impacting our gamma, our vega, and our theta. You can see how we've got -1 theta now. Whereas when we go back to our original position, we had positive theta. So that's the only complication when you're using options to hedge, is it's not just the delta that's impacted like it would be if we we're just buying the stock. Our gamma, vega, and theta are also impacted. Another way to potentially delta hedge this position would be to go out to the next expiration and buy that roughly 12 delta call option. Again, we've pretty much eliminated our delta. We've still impacted our other Greeks, but we've still actually got slightly positive theta here. And again, a slightly different looking expiration risk graph. The third method of delta hedging we're going to look at is using another highly correlated stock to delta hedge our Netflix condor. Let's go and take a look. In this case, what I'm doing is I'm adding a bull put spread on a highly correlated underlying, being Amazon. They're both tech stocks. They're not going to move perfectly together, but they're going to be pretty similar. I've added the put spread at a 15 delta, which is my usual level. I'm getting some nice positive theta. And overall, I've flattened my portfolio T+0 line pretty perfectly. And I've got a pretty good looking expiration risk graph as well. Notice how my position delta is still -6, but when we start looking at the portfolio level, that's when this delta dollars number becomes much more important. And we can see that's very neutral at just $35. We've got positive delta here on Amazon of 1,327, which perfectly offsets our negative delta on Netflix. Now, it's not going to be a perfect hedge because we could have a situation where Netflix goes up and Amazon goes down. It's never going to be perfect when you're using a different underlying. The best method of hedging and the safest is to use the same underlying. But here what we're doing is we're thinking about the portfolio as a whole. We're offsetting some of that negative delta in Netflix with some positive delta in Amazon. And I've got some videos on delta dollars, which I'll link below as well if you want to learn more about that. You should consider delta hedging when delta dollars exceeds 2 times the max loss. That's a good rule of thumb for an iron condor. You can have different rules for credit spreads, butterflies, and other strategies. Another time when you should consider delta hedging is if you're getting close to expiration. So you don't want to sacrifice any of that really good theta. And it just buys you a bit more time to stay in the trade and allow that underlying position to do its thing. The other time you should consider delta hedging is when rolling's too expensive or not easy to do and obtain a credit. So again, once you're getting closer to expiration, it does become a little bit harder to adjust and to roll. Sometimes you can roll out in time, but if you don't want to do that and it's too expensive to make your adjustment, that's when you should consider some delta hedging, even just for a few days to buy yourself some time, minimize your directional risk while theta does its thing. Delta hedging isn't always the right move, and I want to save you from overcomplicating your position. So let's go through some examples of when not to delta hedge. Firstly, if the position is too small. If you've got an iron condor with only $200 at risk, hedging is going to add complexity without any meaningful benefits. You can just close or adjust the position. Secondly, if the transaction costs are going to eat into your edge, so buying those 12 shares of Netflix, you have to evaluate how much that's going to cost you in terms of commission and slippage and whether it's going to be effective for you. For me, if it's early in the trade, I tend not to delta hedge because time decay and our gamma risk is pretty low. So delta hedging a long way from expiration is not really worth it for me. It's more something I would do closer to expiration. You also shouldn't delta hedge if you're already planning to close the position anyway. If your stop loss has been hit or your adjustment threshold been breached, sometimes it's better to just exit the trade. Hedging and trying to salvage the trade can sometimes be a bit of a waste of time and energy. You need to ask yourself, does the hedge meaningfully reduce my risk and give me time to make better decisions? If not, skip it and go straight to your adjustment or your exit plan. Here are some key practices that separate effective delta hedging from making expensive mistakes. Set your hedge threshold before entering the trade. You want to try and reduce the emotional decision making. So always have a plan for how you're going to hedge and when you're going to hedge. Sometimes partial hedges are better than full hedges. So consider a 50% delta hedge or 75% delta hedge. You don't have to fully delta hedge. Again, plan your exit for the hedge itself. So if we go back to our Netflix example, let's say I'd chosen buying 6 shares to 50% delta hedge. Once the stock gets back in towards the middle of the condor, I no longer really need the hedge anymore. So that's when I would look to remove the hedge. If Netflix hit 105, I might take a little bit of a loss on the hedge, but it's allowed me to stay in the trade a little bit longer. Don't hold the hedge all the way down if Netflix keeps dropping. So have a plan for when you're going to exit the hedge as well. Remember to monitor your Greeks after hedging. You've changed your position's exposure to gamma, theta, and vega potentially if you're using another option. So understand your new risk profile and think about all your positions on that portfolio basis as well. Are any new positions helping or hurting your existing positions? And keep hedging simple, especially when you're starting out. Just keep it really simple. Don't try to overcomplicate things. That's where you might get into some problems. So remember, hedging's a tactical tool. It's not a strategy in itself. It's all about allowing yourself to buy some time for that underlying position to keep working and doing what it's meant to do. So in summary, know your delta exposure, know how to calculate it, know how to monitor it, not just for each individual position, but for your portfolio as a whole. Have a hedging threshold, so know in advance when, how, and why you're going to hedge. Keep it simple and always have a plan for unwinding the hedge. Thanks for watching. Let me know whether you use delta hedging. So just give me a shout in the comments if this is a strategy that you use or a strategy that you might use in the future. If you found the video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Reach out anytime with questions and have a great day.